God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Yeah, yeah, yeah. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
All right. Well, good morning, one and all. And those of you joining us online, it's good to have you here with us. And for those of you who are local and feel like you want to join us, all you have to do is make a reservation and come on down and you can join us here in the sanctuary. Those of you who took the time to do that and are here this morning, I'm delighted to have you with us. And we have with us our newest minister here, Reverend Nicole Robbins, who is our presider today. And then we'll let Ken introduce Eden properly. All right, so let's just start by taking a deep conscious breath and just release. And in that release, we're allowing ourselves to surrender to this moment, this eternal now moment, recognizing and knowing that there is nothing else. We claim it as we come together for our call to service. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Reverend Nicole lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space that we hold for them here at our center, within our online community, and within our own hearts. And as Reverend Nicole lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own souls. There is one flame, one light within.
As I recognize this one faith, this one heart, this one love, this divine power that flows so deep through each and every one of us, I know that I am connected to the source, as I know each and every one here, everyone online, everyone who watches this service later on. We're all connected to the source. I know and I declare that the service is perfect in the mind of God. We are open at the top, receiving divine guidance and information that just lifts and enlightens us, taking us closer and closer to our true divinity, recognizing, showing us the recognition that we are one with this source. I'm just so very, very grateful to be here in person and see all these beautiful people, and knowing those online are smiling as we just say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I release this to the law that always says yes and is so full of love. And together we say, and so it is. Good morning, everyone. It's so exciting to see all of you here in person and online. Oh, it's such a glorious day. I just want to say thank you for having me here. So, have you ever heard that song on the radio? Then all of a sudden you flash back to that moment in time. That one song, and all of a sudden these memories just come rushing forward. For me, it's a song by a band called Oasis, and it's Wonderwall. And the other day, I was driving in my car, and Wonderwall came on. And I instantly flashed back to December 24th, 1995. I was on a very small island called the Orkney Islands above Scotland, on an island called Shopensea. I was celebrating Christmas with one of my best friends at her home where she grew up. And we went in to have lunch for, well, they called it dinner, but it was really our lunch. Crazy Scottish. And we were going in, it was just snowing nice and softly. It was a beautiful morning, or early afternoon. And then when we came out, we decided at lunch we were going to explore. On the other side of the island, about 4 miles away, there was this great archaeological site that we wanted to go explore. And off in the distance, I saw this dark cloud, but that was way off in the distance, so we didn't need to worry about it. So we got into her sister's car. There was her 2 sisters, and myself, and we went off to explore this archaeological site. And the snow started coming down heavier, and the wind picked up. And by the time we drove about 4 miles to the other side of the island, it was a full-blown major storm. But we were determined to go see that archaeological site. So we got out of the car, and the door went almost flying, ripped off because the wind was so strong. And her sister's like, I'm not going to die. I'm not getting out of the car. So she stayed. And my friend and her sister, we walked through the storm, wind determined to go see this archaeological site. And this wind picked me up and almost threw me into this barbed wire fence. And I landed on the pole, protecting myself. And it was a slight thing. So we get to the archaeological site, and we saw it, and we were trying to take pictures, and the wind was blowing. And they actually sent out a rescue party for us. The car wouldn't start. The car died. And we just happened to be in the worst storm that the island has experienced in 40 years. We might call it a hurricane. I think they called it a typhoon. So my friends and I were exploring, having a brilliant time in this hurricane, exploring the archaeological sites. And it really made me start to think about how we view conditions in our life. So this might be termed a horrific condition, a hurricane, that my friends and I were exploring, and it just really got me thinking about how there are conditions in our life, that story that we tell us, that might be hurricane strength. And I have a picture of the hurricane just to show you. So that was me in the hurricane at the archaeological site. And it was pretty painful, the winds and stuff that were coming up. But we saw the thing, the archaeological thing. So this made me really think about us here in our life. When those stories come up, it's not, for us, the hurricane was great. It was a fun situation. We were 20 or something and having a great time in these drastic conditions. So when are you in like a drastic condition, when you feel that life is just throwing you this downpour, these winds, these unbelievable conditions that are hard? What are we going to do? How are we going to handle it? It's that story that we keep replaying in our head. How are we going to release that story? So Ernest says, man's conscious thought, acting through law, may change any condition in his experience, provided that he can clearly conceive as such condition being changed. So we might feel like we're in a hurricane, and then the eye comes and everything's nice and peaceful, and then we get the back winds, and then everything gets topsy-turvy. We think we handled it, but not so much. It comes back around again. But it's really up to us when we're in that hurricane to change our story about the hurricane. He also says, Ernest also says, we shall often need to know the truth, which we announce is superior to the conditions that we can change. So we might be stuck in that hurricane and see it as a hurricane, but we need to know that the condition can be changed. So it's up to us to really know those thoughts. So my gift to you is when we're in a hurricane, to look at our thoughts and change them and know that on the other side of the hurricane, I should have brought the other picture, because the next picture I have is us playing in the snow and having a great time, because after that hurricane, there is a rainbow. Thank you for letting me share.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Please welcome Miss Eden Livinggood on the violin today. If I could tell the world just one thing, it would be we're okay. Not to worry, 'cause worry is wasteful and useless in times like these. I won't be made useless, won't be idle with despair. I'll gather myself around my faith, for the light the darkness most fears. My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own. Yeah, not yours, they are my own. And I'm never broken. So poverty stole your golden shoes, but it can't steal your laughter. Heartache came to visit me, but I knew it wasn't ever after. We'll fight not out of spite, for someone must stand up for what's right. 'Cause there's a man with no voice, there's our voice that will go singing. My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own. Yeah, they're not yours, they are In the end, only kindness matters. I will get down on my knees and I will pray. I will get down on my knees and I will pray. I will get down on my knees and I will pray. My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own, yeah. They're not yours, they are my own, and I'm never broken. I'm never broken. We are God's eyes, we are God's hands, we are God's light, we are God's love, we are God's eyes, we are God's hands, we are God's light, we are God's love. God's love. God's love. Thank you.
That was wonderful, beautiful. Let's give him another hand. Good morning and happy August. We've got some wonderful things going on here at the center. If anybody would like prayer support, you can get that by finding a practitioner online at cslgh.org. And today at 11:45, we have our Zoom fellowship led by Catherine Hack. So join us for fellowship. Just because you're at home or not here, we can still connect. And coming soon, Tuesday night is Prosperity Potpourri. It's a great class. I've been to 2 classes, and that's at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday. So the next class is August 3rd. Reverend Dr. Maureen just has infinite wisdom. So I encourage you to come and become more prosperous. And that can be either in person or online. And I believe there's more details on the constant contact that you get every week. Law of Attraction. That group meets next time on August 8th, and that's led by our own Michael Carlin, who does the sound every Sunday. So that's real stimulating conversation. So that's a great group too. And the second Sunday every month, so it'll be August 8th, Reverend Jessica Fish does the healing support group at 1 o'clock. And Michael Carlin's group is also at 1 o'clock. So join. So there's lots of things going on, and if you have something to heal, bring that to the group, and you'll have prayer treatment to be healed. And then our last item is the Fall Fling. Finally, I believe it'll be a year and a half or almost 2 years when we were originally planning this. So finally, October 2nd. So there'll be more details to come. So I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
If you will please stand and join me in our Declaration of Principles. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith is based upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our faith according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the giveness of life to all.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Oh, get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, and to the sweetest kind of life. Oh, get ready, my soul. Oh, get ready, my soul.
Very nice. So thank you, Eden. That was lovely. Thank you, Ken. Let's give him some love. And on the chat as well. So, by the way, if you're watching online, asking Sherry, our practitioner who's on duty, or Reverend Jessica, one of you, to just put in admin@cslgh.org. That's the email to our administrator, or to myself, revmike@cslgh.org. If you want to get on our constant contact, or even if you want to become a member, you can do that as an online member, even if you live out of the area. So just a reminder on that. So, and it is, believe it or not, it's August 1st. How the hell did that happen already? Yeah. So this month we're focusing on our monthly theme, or as they say in Ireland, team, a pause for guidance. So for the whole month of August, we're going to be focusing on a pause for guidance. And these talk notes come to us today from a lovely minister up in the Seattle Center for Spiritual Living. She's the associate minister up there with Kathy Ann Lewis. Her name's Abigail Scher, and she writes that the month of August invites us to pause for guidance, for rest, to rejuvenate, and prepare for the next leg of our journey. The next leg of our journey. And I was thinking, geez, with all this business going on with this bleeding Delta variant stuff swirling all around us, does that make Reverend Abigail a psychic of some kind? So how could she know that a year ago? But for today, let's set all that business aside. We'll just know that we'll continue to wear our mask, we'll wash our hands, take our shot if we can, and turn our attention instead to what comes next. So let's take this month to enjoy the rest of the summer and prepare for the fall, to prepare for the next yet to be. Maybe take time for a tune-up, to pause for guidance, for rest, to rejuvenate, and prepare the way for our next leg of the journey, so that in this way, let us all prepare to welcome joy, to welcome innovation, creativity, authenticity, even vulnerability, and an opportunity to evolve our thinking. And this is our talk title for this week, Time for a Tune-Up. So when I have to share that when I read this talk title, I immediately thought of my old neighbor in my own days of wrenching on cars, and usually trucks actually. Or maybe you have childhood memories of your dad or a neighbor with their head stuck under the hood all day, with a cold one up on the fender, as our friend does here. And of course, things go pretty well that way until you get about 3 or 4 beers in, and then Mississippi Queen in the band Mountain and a GTO, and we'll leave it at that. So YouTube Mountain, Mississippi Queen, and that'll give you a taste of what I was like in that era. So maybe there's a memory within you of wrenching on your own car. You know, back in the days when cars were powered, before the days where cars were powered by the sacred mystery of electronics, where before only the high priest of auto world knows what the heck's going on underneath there anymore. Because I used to be pretty good. I have no idea what's going on under there now. Now, for cars, it was once fairly simple to work on them. Right? You had to keep in mind a few key things, that it took air, it took fuel, and it took spark to make the car go. And the center of attention in a tune-up was right here. Right here, this is an illustration of the distributor. Maybe you remember these days with those things that all the wires went into when you were putting water in it or changing the air filter. And the entire operation, see, there were more men in the first service, so there were nodding heads, but okay. So, and then the whole operation was here at the points, right? So, and the points are right here. And these points have a gap. And then this here is a cam, and then it made the points open and close, like this. I know. Another mystery solved. Right? So the entire operation was here at the points. This distributed power to the spark plugs, which ignited the fuel, which pushed the pistons and then moved the car. And it was in maintaining the smallest of gaps, thousandths of an inch, the difference between a business card and a credit card, that made the whole thing fire smoothly. And if that point gap was off just a few thousandths, it threw off the timing for the entire motor. It might fire. It might even get the car to move with a few puffs and bangs. And this could be very frustrating until you went through the tune-up process step by step to see where those gaps were. And that is what the beer was for. So our life can be like that car in need of a tune-up. Often our car operates poorly and we don't even know that it's operating poorly, except that there's a light maybe. We may go a year or two without a tune-up or longer. And it takes time to wear on the various components before we may even notice it. There's indicators that a tune-up is called for besides a flashing light, but we have to know how to identify them and what to look for. So there may be a little smoke coming out of the tailpipe. The acceleration when you put the pedal to the metal and nothing happens, right? There's no get up and go. It may even backfire and belch a little bit and lurch. Right? We need a tune-up. And sometimes it takes the tune-up itself for us to see, oh, I needed a tune-up. Because the car operates so much better. So can you see? Can you see how it's possible for humans then to find themselves in this same predicament? So we've all been driving ourselves pretty hard this past year and a half. And what once looked like a downhill glide in June is looking that we might be headed uphill for a short time. So it's a good time. It's a good time for a spiritual tune-up. Now, how to go about doing that? We can start by asking ourselves some basic questions, like what are we ready to lose? What are we ready to release? What are we ready to get rid of? What is it that may have served us up until now that we see that it's just not getting the job done? It's always the minister's phone. It's good. Yeah. So we can start by asking ourselves, what are we willing to lose? What would we like instead? What would we like to share? What would we like to share? Perhaps in this last year and a half, we've had an insight that we can share with someone. How can the sharing of something be evidence of the universe that we have it? Now, this is important because Holmes points out in his book, this thing called You, that whatever we identify ourselves with, we will become like. And whatever we resist, until we make it a reality, we also become like. So this is the metaphysical message behind the teachings of Jesus when he said, resist not evil. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn and give them the left cheek also. Now, this is not meant in a physical sense, right? It could be, right? But the message here is not to hate the hater, for then we become the hater itself. So it's the metaphysical that whether it's in the spoken word or within actions, right, that we resist not evil. Or do not hate. Do not hate. Do not engage in the kissing cousins of hate, resentment, envy, covetousness. Yeah. Now, these things can cause a spiritual misfire at any moment. So should we find ourselves taking a few laps in the pool of resentment, which is not unusual, it's always good to remember that love conquers hate. Love conquers hate. Love conquers fear. That humility can win over arrogance. That humility is actually a spiritual strength rather than a weakness. That we can move from feeling victimized by our circumstances and instead remember that with God all things are possible. And Reverend Nicole illustrated this nicely with her story of being in a hurricane in Scotland, and not a warm hurricane apparently, a hurricane with snow in it. That sounds pretty gnarly, right? But by focusing on what was happening in real time, within her own experience, having an experience of hurricane in Scotland with people I love, right? That something was transformed in that moment. And I have a feeling when they got back, the fire was on, the kettle was on, there were some nice scones, and maybe a wee dram of the whiskey to warm us up. So something that's seemingly awful, right, can be transformed at a level of thought to have a completely different experience. Now, I think many times when people are thinking about this teaching and the things that Holmes talks about, they think, oh, well, you should have been able to just calm the storm, right? Well, so far we only know of one guy who was able to do that, right? And that he is the great example and not the great exception. That we have within us the power to quell any tempest through the power of thought by allowing our mind with the divine mind. And then allowing it to make itself known. And to remember, as Mark said through Dr. Maureen, that with God all things are possible. Now it can start with a seemingly simple practice. The seemingly simple practice of being impeccable with our word. And so in Dr. Maureen's class, Prosperity Potpourri, this is the law that they were working with out of the 4 agreements with Don Miguel Luis. Dr. Maureen reminds us that to me it's just as important to be not only impeccable with our word, but to be impeccable with our thinking, since thoughts are words that we hear on the inside. That our words and thoughts then become habits or beliefs, sometimes conscious, but often unconscious. So we want to be not only conscious of what we're thinking about, but in the ways that we're wanting to shift the way that we are seeing the world, to know that we must be impeccable with our word, beginning with ourself. So Holmes says that our mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. Our mind is, not as, is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. So there's a relationship going on there, right? Just as there's a relationship in the distributor between the camshaft and the points, right? Increase the dwell, decrease the point gap. Increase the point gap, decrease the dwell. Everybody remembers that from shop class, right? So if you ever seen a guy turning the distributor with the cap on while the engine is running, and it changes the way it runs, right? So there is a component, there is a relationship between ourselves and the way this point gap thing works, right? So Eckhart Tolle tells us in our meditation practice that we want to mind the what? Mind the gap, right? Mind the gap. And to know that its incremental changes can have a sustaining effect. And then to understand that this distributor that we're playing with is God consciousness. God consciousness to all these various lines of thinking. And the ones that we give our attention to are the ones that demonstrate. So we want to be impeccable with our word. We want to speak with integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. Say only what we mean. Now, this is really hard for Irish people because they tend to, add flourish to everything. But to say only what you mean, to speak of what it is we desire. Don't beat around the bush. Just, speak with courage and in authenticity. Avoid speaking negatively about ourselves and others, right? That's the negative self-talk, right? So for many of us, when we first come to the teaching, that's the thing that we have to focus on most. So it's charming to be self-deprecating, but it's harmful to actually see yourself in that light. It's a strong spiritual practice to be humble enough to know that you can wear life gently. That even this teaching, the Science of Mind teaching, is not a hair shirt, but it's flowing satin that we move in easily. If I ever wore flowing satin, I think, yeah. So we want to avoid speaking negatively about ourselves and about others. That we want to use our words in a positive direction of truth and love. Now, in the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Luis explains that our words are magic. He says that you can use your words to create good in the world or to create chaos and spread negativity. And he says that I like to think of using my words as good magic, as speaking to what you desire in the world and feeling good as you speak it. And when I catch myself using bad magic, that I am left feeling bad and out of alignment. Now, we are not shamans, right, in this sense that Don Miguel Luis says we are religious scientists. So we don't think of it as our word as magic, but rather impressing itself upon a law of mind, which is God consciousness. And this is where the relationship part comes in, right, to know and to have the faith that this mind of the divine, with all of its infinite possibilities, is responding to our thought. That there's an impress from ourselves, from the finite to the infinite, and from the infinite unto the finite, into our own heart. To be impeccable with our word is essential if we are to change our thinking, to change our life. To truly change our life, we need to heal. We need to heal the underlying beliefs that are behind any of these thoughts that we are thinking. Any jealousy, envy, resentment, hate, that stuff needs to be healed. And to be healed means that it's anchored in spirit. Now, it has been my experience that to use the Science of Mind teaching in these pursuits is really where the treasure lies. It is where we are truly free. So when we come into this teaching and go into prosperity classes and we treat for, a better job or to buy a house or a bigger house or a new car or, a tune-up or whatever it is that we're bringing to the table in the world of form, and that's fine. But these are just the training wheels. These are just the training wheels to get us confident in using this thing we call law, right? But to heal these deeper underlying causes behind the tendency of our thinking, that is where the treasure truly lies. That is where freedom is. And the way that we do that is to understand that we are to find the roots of our life in pure spirit, to know that we are anchored in spirit, or as we were talking about last week, stayed in spirit. That we lose our sense of being separated from our good, and then we find that we are united with it. Now this sounds like it's kind of circular speaking, but what Holmes is speaking to here is the experience that those of us who have been willing to step into spiritual practice beyond dogma and instead into experience, we have a realization that it really truly is all one thing expressing. That the divine is expressing in, through, and as you, and in, through, and as everyone else. And then our task then is to acknowledge that within ourselves, right? So it's beyond the days of Wayne's World of I'm not worthy, yes, right? Or for myself as a young child, oh Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed. This is what every child says, a Catholic child says, to receive communion. Right? But we can still use this prayer, knowing that the Spirit is already there. Right? We can use a prayer like that to know that the infinite power and presence of the divine is right where we are sitting right now. That there is no spot where God is not. So if we focus our practice in this way, all shall be added unto us. So let's invite the musicians forward. And I'll finish up with this quote from Holmes where he says, if we will but take our personal problem to a high place in our consciousness, it will disappear as the answer to it takes place. So that here again, we're talking about focusing on what we want rather than what we don't want. We're not resisting evil. We're not resisting our good either. We're making it welcome. Now this may be where our work begins if we've been stuck in a funk for some time, stuck in the struggle, as many have been in this last 18 months or so. Right? That we understand that there is a thought form keeping us held bound in some way. And that the infinite power and presence of the Holy Spirit is alive within us now. That we step into that field. That is the field of infinite possibilities for good. There is no thought of doubt or limitation. We feel the answer is established in our consciousness now. That we allow it to make itself known within our thinking mind now, in our present experience. This can be done as we let go of the problem, which we are doing now. We let go of the challenge and allow the sweet release of love to lift us higher. So this day, as we go through this Sabbath day, let us consider the ways in which we can step into this field of infinite possibilities for good, working with whatever is presenting itself to us, recognizing it as the gift of life, longing to express itself more fully and completely as our life. Take that into our work week and see how we do, and then check in next week. We'll see you then.
I'm sailing, I am sailing across the sea home again. I am sailing stormy waters to be near you and to be free. I am flying, I am flying like a bird across the sky. I am flying, passing high clouds to be with you and to be free. Can you hear me? Can you hear me through the dark night far away? I am flying, forever trying to be with you. Oh, who can say? Can you hear me? Can you hear me through the dark night far away? I am flying, forever trying to be with you. Oh, who can say? We are sailing, we are sailing home again across the sea. We are sailing stormy waters to be near you and to be free. Oh Lord, to be to be free. Oh Lord, to be near you and to be free.
Very nice. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Eden. That was lovely. So this is the time in our service to practice the law of generosity. If you happen to be here in the room today and you happen to be prepared to give a gift, you can do so when we start the music here, or you can come up now.
3, 4. Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through you, Spirit receives through you, Spirit lives and breathes through you. Spirit lives and breathes through you. Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So let us allow this basket to represent the various forms in which your giving supports this center, whether it's through PayPal, through the website, or through the YouTube channel or through Facebook, through your mail-in donations, through bill pay, or through your contributions here in the center, that all of it is a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so from the generous heart of the individual, we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep love and respect as we understand and know they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless not only the vision and mission of this center, but anyone connected to it in any way. That we extend this blessing to our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know for our planet as well, that all of it is an emanation from the very mind of the divine itself. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in all ways, great and small. This lifts our heart and propels us into ways of spiritual living that not only raise our own lives, but those around us as well. And that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. And so I just want to take a second here because we haven't acknowledged that Reverend Kathy Lyons is now our head of practitioners. So if you need any treatment work, you can send treatment requests to her or through Sherry if you're online today. And do you have time to see anybody today here if they need? Okay, so we'll just make sure you're being socially distant. So we're getting a little sloppy after the service. So we need to exit the building after the service, let the musicians get out of here, right? And hopefully we'll just be doing this for just a little bit longer, and then it will be finito. All right, so please help me thank our violinist, the fiddle player, Eden Livingood, and our musical director, Ken Francis, for his lovely songs today. And all of you to be in here. If you want to join us, just register next week. And we'll see you all next week. Reverend Nicole, if you would pray us out, that'd be awesome.
It's so wonderful to see you all in person and online. So as we just say thank you so much for this wonderful service, as we go forward this week, we take time to tune up. So should we happen to cross hurricane winds in our life, that we can dance and play like crazy 20-year-olds did 26 years ago. And just know that God is our source and our supply. And I just say thank you for this beautiful service, for these amazing musicians, for our wonderful tech service, and for our in-home and in-person audience. It's with such a grateful heart I say thank you for all. And together we say, and so it is.
Please stand and join us in singing the peace song. One, two, three, 2, 2, 3. Step I take, let this be my joyous vow.